You see, we are created in a magnificent vibration, in an absolutely magnificent vibration. Born risk takers. Free. That conditioning takes place after birth. You can change it. It takes guts. It takes goals. Now, do you know something? You're sitting there watching this and you're thinking, my God, I'm going to change something. I always say, keep reminding yourself that you have tremendous reservoirs of potential within you, and therefore you are quite capable of doing anything you set your mind to. You really can. I don't care what the cynics tell you. Quit listening to some of your peers. Now, all you must do is figure out how you can do it, not whether you can or not. When are you going to do it? When are you going to do it? You've got to create a sense of urgency. I'm going to do it right now.
If you can see it, you can do it. But the beautiful truth is you can do anything. We got to know there is a place. There is a specific frequency. And if you get on that frequency, you're going to attract what you need to you. This is what it's all about. Why have you been endowed with such awesome powers? If you'll make a committed decision, this I'm going to do. And you don't have to know how. You do not have to know how. The second you make the committed decision, you flip your brain onto the frequency that you have to be on to attract what you have to attract to manifest the thing that you want. If you can see it, you can do it. It's got to be something you want. Wants come from inside. Act like you're already there. Walk, talk, speak, live like you're already there. Don't set a small goal. Don't set something that doesn't really wind your stem. Set it so big it jazzes you. It really gets you going. When something of a very high nature resonates with the very high side of you, you'll know it. You'll know it. You will feel it. Feeling is conscious awareness of vibration. The only prerequisite, do you want it? Not do you need it, not could you do it. The only prerequisite is, do you want it? Take the lid off your marvelous mind and dream. For goodness sake, give yourself the right to do that. Get your analytical mind out of the way. Put it in your pocket for a while. All you're doing is exploring, daydreaming. What did Lawrence say? All men dream, but not equally. Those who dream by night in the dusty recesses of their mind waken the day to find that it was vanity. But the dreamers of the day are dangerous men, for they may act their dream with open eyes to make it possible. This I did.
Hey, Joey, how you doing?
Very good, Mike.
I'm great, thanks, Joey. Listen, just welcome everybody, and obviously you're on board with FHL, Freedom, Health and Lifestyle, and of course this is personal development with a business plan. Not that complicated. Of course, you can also check out the My Why Tribe, and that's really to help people find their why, live with purpose, and grow together. Links are in the description for that WhatsApp community. And of course, this is episode 120. Say it out loud. Yeah, episode 120, right? So we're going to get into some stuff. I want to go back on what Joey was talking about last week about goal cards, because I think it's important. But again, look, this is all about thinking better and doing better. And that's what we all want. We all want better, right? And, we're coming to that time of year, where it's going to be a new year, and maybe people are thinking about career changes and changing their life and setting kind of resolutions, or goals or whatever you want. Why wait until next year? Why not start today? Why not start now, right? You can do that by liking, subscribing, and sharing, clicking on the notification button, right? You'll learn when we're on, usually around about the same time every week. For me, it's the morning. For Joey, it's nighttime. My good friend Joey, all the way from Australia. Say hello, Joey.
Hey, good day, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, beautiful people. Myself and Mike McKillen, all the way from the Republic of Ireland, so happy and grateful that we are able to have an opportunity again. I know last week was hectic, down on the motorway, try to connect, and we connect for maybe half an hour, and then I drop out because the signal was unable me to properly connected to Mike. And Mike, thank you very much for finishing our program last week. It meant a world to me, and I take my hat to you all the time, my friend, and because you are different maker, right? To be honest, and today I wear with my head with pride, knowing that that's what we do. We want to make a difference in people's life, and I think that's why we do this program every single Sunday, because we want to make a difference. And you and I, everywhere we go, that's our main goal, is to make an impact in people's life, whether it's with our business, our company, our opportunity, or the personal growth that we learn and experience in our journey, individually or collaborating. I'm so grateful and happy that we are on the journey together, my friend, and can't do it without.
Amazing. Don't forget, you can find Joey on his Facebook page at joey.unger, facebook.com/Joey Unger. And also go and check him out as well here at joeyunger1.isogenics.com/en-au. Go and check him out and learn more about what Joey's doing and the difference that Joey's making for people. Just like you, just like me, right? It's definitely well worth a visit to go and check him out. And of course, you can find me on Facebook at The Real Mick McQuillan. You can find me there sometimes, not always there, but I'm there sometimes. But you'll always find me here on a Sunday morning. But again, Joey, obviously, I want to get into this. And of course, we'll get your final thoughts at the end. But I've got a couple of little videos here. And I was thinking about this. We were talking about goal cards maybe a week or so ago. And I think it's important to have goals, but a lot of times, Joey, we just think about them, right? We're just thinking about them in our mind. And quite often you can just get distracted. You can just get, you can be having this thought about your goal, visualizing and everything else. And then all of a sudden, this other little voice pops into your head, or you hear a noise and you get distracted. And I was thinking that, really you have to say them out loud. Now when I'm not talking about, your goal of maybe, having £1 million in the bank or $1 million in the bank, or having a nice house or a nice car. I'm not talking about those goals. I'm talking about your business goals. So, maybe having a goal of building an organization of 10 people, just a small goal, building an organization of 50 people, building an organization of 100 people, and we hear Bob Proctor talking about, you've got to talk about it like it's already kind of in existence. I'm so happy and grateful now I have an organization of 50 people, who I'm helping, or I'm so happy and grateful now I'm helping 6 people earn an extra 2,000, bucks a month, whatever it is. And I think that the importance of saying it out loud, whilst maybe looking at yourself in the mirror, it helps to, build confidence for yourself, and in fact, you can probably talk about this better, Joey. So in the book, Think and Grow Rich, there's a chapter in there that talks about, him standing, looking in the mirror and repeating this phrase over and over again. I've got my book here somewhere. It's on my desk. I can't reach it at the moment. But yeah. So that's a nice book. I like that copy. That's a nice copy, that. Mine's a really old paperback copy with notes in the margin. Right.
No, that's good.
Well, this is yeah. So, talk about, Joey, just talk about, your understanding and the importance of, a goal card, reading it out loud morning and evening, and, but, with conviction, do you know what I mean? And passion. I think these are important. Give me your thoughts.
Yeah, Mike, I just want to take this opportunity to share something that today I just found out I lost a good friend of mine, and that's why I wear black today, just to show my respect. His funeral will be tomorrow. He just become a business partner of myself last month. And today I went to his apartment and find out that he's no longer with us. He's a good friend of mine. He's a business an entrepreneur. Sadly, we were planning to do something last weekend, and I went all the way to the place that we were planning to go, and he didn't make it. I didn't understand at that time, but then today I everything come together to realize that that's what happened. He's no longer with us, and I want to take this moment to just acknowledge his presence, and also because I believe we are all spiritual beings living in a physical body, even though when we die, our body will go back to the where it come from the from the dirt or the dust, but our spirit will return to where it belongs, and today it's a day that I will remember for a long time because get to know him. We've been friends for in distance for quite a few years. Every now and then I pick up the phone and ring him. But lately, as we collaborate in the last month and this month, it was a very short amount of time. But I remember when he said to me the last time I left his apartment, he said to me, "Joey, I just want to say thank you for what have you done." And today it reminds me, people will remember you for not what you have, the car you drive, or what you accomplish in life, or the house you live in, but they will remember you for how you make them feel. And I think it's very important in our journey. And I know talking about setting goals and it come from our words, what we're saying. It's very, very important. And, I'm sorry that I take this time to
No,
acknowledge
you're fine,
that.
Joe. No, you're fine. And I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I'm really sorry for your loss, and for your friend. It's quite tragic, really. Um, like death is part of life, but when it's unexpected, it can be challenging for a lot of people. Um, you know, but I suppose look, what did they say? They're in a better place now, right? Like you, I believe the same thing as you. From the point of view of being a spiritual being in a physical body, and there's no doubt that when the spirit leaves the body, you know, the spirit has gone. Do you know what I mean? But again, not to be forgotten. That's the important thing. Like I'm sure that that person has made impacts on people's lives, just the way that you have made an impact on his life. And I think that you have to be grateful, for those moments that you share where you do get an opportunity to maybe leave someone with an impression of increase, to help them maybe feel better about something that makes them feel bad. It's nice to know that person, that your friend, was grateful that you were in his life, you know.
Yeah.
And look, I kind of get it, Joe, because about 3 weeks ago, one of the people that works in my organization passed over, and it was unexpected, right? I remember his sister ringing me that night to tell me, or text messaging me that night. But I had actually spoke with this person earlier in the day, and I was the last person to actually speak with them. And I felt quite grateful that this person had respected me enough to talk to me. Do you know what I mean? Before whatever happened. And it was, to be honest, this is when, life gets in the way sometimes, doesn't it? Do you know what I mean? Like it is funny because I was listening to something on the way down here, Joey, and it was from Jim Rome, and he was talking about the rain. He was talking about the weather, and he says that when it starts raining, it rains on everybody. It rains on the wealthy. It rains on the poor. It rains on everybody. And you're in one of those situations, like I was in a situation there, where it's raining on everybody. It doesn't miss anybody. Everybody's affected by it. So listen, I'm sorry your friend has had that and has passed over. And I'm sorry that, that you have to deal with it, especially when it's unexpected, but you do have to deal with it.
Yeah.
And I think you're probably a little bit like me in the sense where you're probably more grateful, to have had the experiences that you had with that person.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, challenging, Joe. I'm sorry you're going through that,
Yep.
because
So,
you've had a tough year of it, really,
yeah.
from that point of view. And when it rains, it pours, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah. I think the takeaway I take from that, I think when someone left, I think the same with my parents. They're no longer with us now. God bless them. But I think they're more happy for me to continue on to doing the things that they pass it on to me. And I think his last word for me is just, Joey, just keep doing what you're doing. Go out there and just make a positive impact in people's life, maybe their health, financials, or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's the legacy he left with me. And I'm really grateful that I still have the opportunity. 5 years ago, I almost have, could be either way I go, in hospital. So, but God give me another chance to make a positive impact in people's health and life and whatever financial, if I can. So I think that's what I take away from today. When I left, I said to myself, God, thank you for the gift and the opportunity to touch people's life before they leave these places in a good manners. And I think He's more happy to see me keep doing what I do, because to leave an impression of increase in people's life is one of the greatest gifts you can give to somebody.
I agree. I agree, Joey. I totally agree. And what was your friend's name?
Sisi.
Cece.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
All right.
yeah.
Well, shout out to Cece,
Mm,
and condolences to all friends and family.
thanks.
Um, you know, and look, best wishes as well. Um, sincerely,
Yeah.
challenging stuff, Joey. And look, if look, if you're watching this, or maybe you're watching the replay, maybe you're going through something like that. Just know you're not by yourself.
Mm,
You don't have to be by yourself. Reach out. We're happy to just talk and you know help understand. Because those times can be challenging. Very challenging. They can. So sometimes you just need to talk to someone. You know. Because it just helps. It can help. Just have someone listen to you, doesn't it? You
yeah,
know?
absolutely. All right. Thank you. Yeah, your question, in regard to.
Yeah. So I was saying about having a goal card and
Mm,
talking out loud about it, and then I referenced the book Think and Grow Rich, and there's a chapter in there, where Andrew Carnegie had said to him, "Look, yeah, I want you to, you know, say this every night, every morning, every night." And he started off saying it, and he didn't believe him, but after 30 days, he was empowered, completely empowered. And I think there's something in there also in that chapter. He talks about how his brother thought he was crazy for doing it. Do you know what I mean? Because he
yeah.
wasn't getting any money for it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but obviously, the power of speaking your goals, um, it does something to people. It does something to you. When I think about, you know, certainly great boxers like Muhammad Ali, the confidence that he, just exuded really, but he believed everything he was saying. I'm going to knock this guy out in round number 6, and and that kind of thing. He just, that was his goal. He was talking his goal out loud. That's. Now, he didn't tell you how he was going to do it, if you like, in the sense of his preparation and all of the stuff that he was doing, but he told you what it was that he was going to achieve, you know. So, and I think, and when I'm talking about goals, Joe, I'm not talking about the houses and the cars. I'm talking about the business type goals.
Mm,
The growth goals. Those things. Like, even if it was a goal, like, I'm going to read 10 books this year. You know, you're not telling people what books you're going to read. You're just saying, I'm going to read 10 books this year. That's a goal. I'm going to read 10 books. or I'm gonna change my job this year. You're not saying maybe what job, or I'm gonna start my own business this year. I'm gonna start my own business. I'm gonna start it by this date. I'm gonna do this. Do you know what I mean? Like, so I think, having a goal, but then saying it out loud with conviction and passion and belief, you're tricking yourself, into having that confidence, that self-confidence. And the funny thing is that when you do start talking like that, and the opportunities seem to present themselves. The people that you need in your life seem to turn up. There's a phrase: when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. You have to be ready, right? Do you know what I mean? So so talk to me about goals.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned about our goals. Know where you want to where you are currently and where you want to go. And we use example. I know that I haven't read a book this year, and my goal this year is to read 10 books, and you're gonna share that with your friends or your loved ones or your wife or your kids, and saying out loud, it's keep you accountable for what it. I didn't know this, but I found that when I start my journey on entrepreneur in our professional, that entrepreneur is people that they find an opportunity, and what they do, they say yes, they tell them well, and they just figure it out. And like, for example, I'm going to start my own business. I'm going to start my entrepreneur training, and most of the time, like Bob said, you don't know where to start. You don't know who's going to help you. You don't know where is the resource come from, where is it the people will come from. But as you soon, all you have to do is just make a decision. And decision, and you mentioned it, is a choice, whether you do it or not, whether you're going to start today or tomorrow. All you have to do is to make a decision. And if you can add on to it, make a committed decision. This is where I am, and this is where I want to go. This is what I accomplished so far. This is what I want to accomplish this year, this month, this week. And by saying out loud, by telling it, sharing with other people, share with your friends, that reminds you that's your spirit, inner spirit. Our spirits always want to express and expand in some way. And it's funny, I shared this with my sister the other day, and I said, funny thing, I realized that we are spiritual being living in a physical body. Our body is just the housing, it's just the gates, and our spirit is living there. And the only place in the world that we're not going to move from is our body. The house that we live in, we can move to another house if we want to. The country that we live in, we can move to another country if we want to. The only place that we can't move from is our body. That's why we need to look after our health, make sure we prioritize that, get it right, especially the nutrition, the supplement that we take every single day, fill and flood our body with the right nutrition, because 80% of our health is not from the exercise. 80% is from the thing that we put in our mouth. And what we put in our mouth, it's fill our body. And it's not just like the car. If we put the premium fuel, we absolutely know that it will perform to its peak performance, to its maximum. So that's why it's very important that we get our health check, right? And then, because it will, when we have a happy, healthy body, the other area in our life can be adjusted, because we are healthy. We were able to do things that we want to do. We're not, getting disease. We're not getting sick or something like that, But coming to the goals is very important. Whether you write them in a card, or I use my phone, Mike. I take a screenshot of my vision board, because every time I get my phone and switch on in the morning, guess what happened? The first thing that pop up is my vision board. Whether I look at that for 1 second or 2 seconds, and then I flip to the apps that I want to look, but it's a kind of remind me, this is what I want to go. This is what I want to achieve in life. This is what I want to accomplish. And every now and then people saw that and they asked me, what is this? then I start talking about it. It's funny we talk about this. I went to Melbourne last week with my wife, and we end up and visit my wife's uncle, and he's a minister. And from the spiritual side, he said, Joey, the things that we talk about, it manifests in because it comes from inside. And when it's coming from inside, it help us, remind us, and help us to create the life that we want. That's why our words is important. And it's funny, I said to him, it's funny. This is how I experience. When I talk to people, I can tell from the language, from the word that come up from their mouth, the kind of spirit, the kind of a life they currently living in, because it's manifest. When they said, "Oh, Joey, I want to do it, but I don't have the time. I can't sales. I can't really, talk to people. I'm not a people person." And they said something like this: I will do it when the kids grow old. I'm going to do it when I have the time. I'm going to do it when I have the money. See that kind of learn? When you learn to change the way you think, and you realize what come out of your mouth is very important. So you have to be careful. So because what you're telling yourself, it's going to manifest in some way.
Yeah.
And said, if you read a cold card, absolutely that's a lie. But because you keep reading it, I want to travel, I want to have my own business, I want to. At first, it's like a lie because you're telling yourself a lie. But if you tell it more often, it will become a reality because you're reminding yourself, this is what I want in life. And when you adjust, and the way your happiness change, the way you think, the way you feel about what you think, and then you act about those things that you think about and feel about, you can start to see the result. Same with health. If you wanted to have a healthy body, maybe, nice toned body. At first, you think about it, then you feel about it. What about if I have the body that I want? I woke up, I want to show up to the wedding, look good, feel good. People want to like how I show up, how I turn up, my poster. And then you act on those things, and you start walking, start eating healthy. At first, you won't see the result yet. But every day, if you are consistently, and I think this is very important in our goals, if you have decided to go after something that you really want in life, which is your goal, and you start doing it, and don't stop. Do something every single day. Pray about it, act about it, talk about it, and then moving toward it with consistency, because consistency beat intensity. That's what I realized. That one of the common denominator of successful people, they decide to do something in life and they go after it. At first, they face adversity, face challenge, face kickback, face a rejection, But because they this is what they really want in life, they keep showing up, they keep turning up, they keep planting the seed, they keep watering the seed, they keep cultivating the seed. And unfortunately, things start to happen. Not overnight, but over time. Because if you keep consistently show up, keep consistently talk about it, keep consistently, that's how you keep your being as a spiritual being in act. You talk about it. The thing that you think about it, you talk about it because you want to feel it. You want to, when you share with people, the people can feel your energy, can feel your ambition, can feel your desire, can feel your vision. And then because you act on it consistently, all of a sudden things start to bear fruit. It's not just like the plant. You start to see some fruit. Maybe this year is only a few fruits, and you keep watering it, keep cultivating it. All of a sudden, after a few years, 4 or 5 years, the apple that only bear few fruits start to bear multiple fruit. What happened? You can enjoy it. The people that you come in contact with enjoy it too, and the bird will come and enjoy it too. So.
Yeah. Joe, you said something really interesting there, right? You said the word action, and action is one of the main ingredients to your goals. Because Goals, even spoken out loud, goals spoken out loud without action is delusion. That's all it is. Nothing is going to change. Nothing. Because you're just speaking stuff out loud, but you're not acting on it. And you talk about this, intentionally act on the thing that you want, right? And that's what it's about. And like you said, it doesn't matter whether it's your health. It doesn't matter whether it's physical health. It doesn't matter whether it's mental health. It doesn't matter if it's financial health. I don't care what it is. Like if your goal is to read 10 books, you can say, I'm going to read 10 books this year. I'm going to read 10 books, but without picking up a bloody book and reading it, nothing's going to change, right? So you've got to pick up that book, and you've got to read it. You've got to go out and do that exercise and take that walk or whatever else. You've got to feed your mind with the right food as well as your body with the right food to get the outcome that you want. But the most important ingredient is action. You've got to take action, and action cures fear, right?
Absolutely.
Because we can be scared. You said it already. You're going to have doubters and detractors, and people are going to criticize you and tell you that you can't do it and all this kind of stuff. Well, look, your job is not to prove them wrong. Your job is to prove you right.
Absolutely.
That's it. It's not about anybody else, because no one's going to do it for you, Joey. Do you know what I mean? You have to do it.
It's so true.
Telling you. But I wrote down vision board as well, because I keep meaning to do it on my phone. My wife has hers on her phone. The funny thing is that most of her shit is already ticked off. Do you know what I mean? I think I need to get one. I do have something on my phone that I see it, but I've had it there for years, and and then you become kind of blind to it after a while. It needs freshening up. So you've got to freshen these things up. And there's no better time to do that than now. Do you know what I mean? But listen, we're going to watch this video, because this little video, it's only a little TikTok, but it does encompass some of the things that you were talking about. So let's watch this quickly.
Words affect matter and reality. We're speaking words. Saying out loud is critical. It says it in the Bible, Mark 11:24. It says, if you say out loud to this mountain, be removed and cast into the sea, and believe in your heart that what you say will come to pass, you will have whatever you say. It doesn't say what you think about. It's what you say. A critical element to prayer, a critical element to manifesting, a critical element to feeling better, a critical element to getting what you want in life is speaking into existence, saying what you want to happen with proper intent, and ideally using words that have been activated and illuminated so they have full power.
Right. What are your thoughts, Joe?
Wow. It's, like I said, when I spoke with my wife, uncle, he come from the spirit of being. But it's, I was sitting there listening to him, and I said, man, this is all collaborating, everything that we, from personal development view to the spiritual view, it's all related in some way. And, this exactly what he said to me. It's our words is very, very important, because our words reflect what we think about. So what we think about is what come out from our words, and the way we talk to people, the way we share our ambition, our dream with people, that's the one that we think about it. And I think in our entrepreneur journey, we try to cast the vision to people that we come in contact with, because that's what we think about. We think about abundance. We think about prosperity. We think about sharing, caring. We think about, personal growth. We share about getting better. I mean, in health, physical being, spiritual being, mindset too. So, the way we think, it's manifest in the way we speak. When we speak to people, and that's why, our words is a very powerful instrument, because it reflects what inside our mind. When we talk to people, we say hello, and we say good day, and that's another form of leaving an impression of increase in people. It's our words. Words can change someone's life. If we say bad things about people, we gossip about people, we say negative things about people. We don't know that's reflect the way we think.
Yeah.
But when we say positive things about people, we say uplifting thing about people, it reflects what we think all day long. And what we think all day long, the only good indicator of what we think about is what come out of our mouth. So,
True.
and yeah, so very powerful. Our words, it's what we think about. And it doesn't. He mentioned on the video is it's not the way we think, it's the way we speak. If we think about abundance and prosperity and helping others, that's what come out with our mouth. It manifests in our words.
So Bruce Lee, and if you don't know who Bruce Lee is, he was a martial artist, right? And there's a quote from him that says, "Words are like spells." That's why they call it spelling. And they are. And you've touched on this before, Joey, where, and you're touching on it just there, you could say something, your words can have an impact on someone's life. You can either make them feel better or make them feel worse, depending on what you say. And it's the same for you. When you say something out loud, I can't do this. I don't think I can do that. Or no, I don't want to, whatever it is. They are literally the seeds being planted into that subconscious. You're literally planting a seed of insecurity, which your subconscious will continue to remind you, that you can't do this.
Yeah.
Because you said it once before. So you have to change what you say. You have to change what you say to yourself. And this is about that. This is about, that having those goals and talking them out loud and being able to change yourself from the inside out. Because this is why it's so difficult, Joe, because it's not bloody easy, right? This is when Bob Proctor talks about paradigms, these habitual thinking thoughts that are deep rooted. You don't even know you're having them. You don't even know you're thinking and feeling that way. They're just deep rooted. How do you pluck those weeds out and turn it into a beautiful garden? How do you do that? I don't.
Yeah. While we're sharing, I lift up the book again because there's a story here. Napoleon Hill talked about he got one of his son was born deaf.
Yes.
And the doctor told him he won't be able to listen to anything, all his life. And because Napoleon Hill mindsets are totally different, and the way he learned and studied about successful people in the world, more than 500 people, he tell himself, this is what other people opinion. And opinion is different from the fact. The fact is we were born riches. We were born, with ability to listen. But human beings, sometimes we don't see that, But because Napoleon Hill see in a different perspective, you know what he did? He keep telling his son every single night, you're going to be listened, you're going to be the best selling, you're going to be doing more successful than your brothers. And guess what happened? The kids end up listening because Napoleon Hill keep feeding his little mind with his word every single day. He didn't do it once. He did it every single day before he went to bed, before he woke up in the morning. And because his belief was so high that he put those words into his sons, even though physical being, no one thing is impossible. But Napoleon Hill knows our words is over. He understands that concept. Words, and
Joey, that is a fascinating story.
This is one thing my wife uncle touched it that really related to this story. Even when he said, when we water the garden, we say nice thing to them. We said to them, look, your beautiful garden. Thank you for green all year and stuff like that. It's funny. I did that. I practice even in the morning when I go past my garden and they bear fruit or flower. I went and kissed them. Sometimes I feel to myself, people might think like he's crazy, And when I water the garden, I kiss them. I say thank you, because the theory that they did in Japan. There was rice or water or something like that in a jar, and one rice they say nice thing about it, and one rice they say bad things about it. So the rice of jar that they say bad thing and negative thing turn into mold. The other one that they say, nice positive things about it, it will stay white all the time. And this is the same concept. Our words is a weapon. Word is a double sword. Can break or make someone. And so it's a very powerful concept. And it's glad I share that because that's one of the story. If you're able to maybe go to the library to read the book, or myself, Mike invested. We bought a copy of the book because our mentor Bob Proctor read this book every single day, and it changed his life. It changed our lives, and we want to pass it on to you, and you can get it for free in the library. You can borrow them, for us. It's very close to our heart, and it's important to us because most of the things we talk about, we share about, come out from this book, Think and Grow Rich. Because there's a wonderful testimony, wonderful story of people that use the power of words to change life, to change, like with Nobore Neal, he used it to change his son's life. From the doctor telling him he won't be here until he die, this son end up hearing because it's like he watering the son's mind with his word. You're gonna be a great listener one day. You're gonna be doing well than your brother. You're gonna have the advantage because God has given you a gift. And you see, when we use words in the right way, instead of telling people, I'm so tired. I have a lot of things in life. Tell them you should be grateful. You have a lot of things in life that you're able to do. A lot of people only do one thing in life, but you are able to do multiple tasks. And if you want to do something similar to what we do, I have no doubt you can still do it. And that when you use the right word in the right time, it's like a beautiful water in a beautiful garden. They will take it with gratitude, with greatness, because they know, words, it's a gift. Words is a powerful.
Now you touched on gossip there as well, Joey. Well, you didn't actually use that word, but like you were talking about gossip and gossiping with people, and I was on a call last Tuesday morning. A good friend of ours, Heather King, and they were talking about habits, consistency, and discipline. And Heather had asked me, Heather said, what could a person do, to improve their life? And I was saying, and the first thing that came to mind was, well, they could change the people that they hang around with, because, I know a lot of people that have got, great habits, great consistency, great discipline. They meet up with their friends, and they just constantly moan and whinge about how they hate their job, how the guy up the street's got more than them, how this is this. And it's a habit. They do it all the time. Every time they meet their friends, they have this conversation about why their life is so hard and everybody else is so easy. They're very consistent about doing it. They're very deliberate about doing it, So you can have bad habits, with consistent and disciplined behavior, and if you're saying the wrong things, or if you're in the wrong groups, you're only going to get more of the things that you've already got. There's no point, it's like if I'm complaining and moaning and whinging about all the things I don't have, how do I expect to get them? All I'm doing is, again, putting more weeds in my garden.
Mm.
You know, I'm not
Yeah.
actually, you know, you need to change. And I personally believe people love change when it's their decision. When they decide to change,
Mm.
like that,
Yeah.
you know, but you can't force someone to change, you know,
True.
and that's why you have to lead. You have to take the lead. You have to take control of yourself, you know, and you have to take yourself out of the equation, you know, like if you're in the habit of gossiping, if you're in the habit of complaining, if you're in the habit of whining, you know, you need to break that habit. That's a habit that you just need to change.
Mm.
You need to replace it with something else. And you know, that brings us into comfort zone, Joey, because you can be in a happy place. You know, when I think about Bob Proctor, you know, telling his story about, you know, he's sitting in the bar, you know, drinking his drink, looking around, and he's saying, God, this place is full of bums.
Yeah.
And then he realized, I'm one of them, you know? So he decided to change. And that's the thing, you see. And it's not a decision that anybody can make for you. Not if you're an adult, you know, it's a decision only you can make. And listen, we're at that time of year where people are thinking about change. You
Mm.
know, they're thinking about another year gone, a new year beginning. You know, they're thinking about what they want. You know, like decide what you really want. This is what Joey says. Decide what you really want.
Mm.
And then intentionally act on the thing that you want.
Yeah.
You know, and you can't wait. I remember you saying to me before, Joey, when's the best time to plant a tree? 20 years ago. Like if
Yeah.
you planted that tree 20 years ago, you'd be reaping that harvest now, wouldn't you? Every
Absolutely.
year. Every year you get a beautiful harvest.
Yeah.
The
It's
next
a
best
turning
time
point.
is now. Isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, and like you said, it doesn't happen overnight, it happens over time. You don't
Mm.
plant that seed and expect to come back in the morning and there be a bloody apple tree, do you? You
No.
know it's going to take 4 or 5 years for that apple tree to grow and then to start, you know, producing fruit. You know, so yeah, it happens over time. You know, and that time's going to pass anyway.
Mm.
It's going to pass. So what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do differently today to make a
Mm.
better tomorrow for yourself? Because it's what you do today is going to give you a better tomorrow. Like what you feed into your body is going to impact your body tomorrow. You know, what you feed into your mind today is going to impact your mind tomorrow. You know, it's
Absolutely.
about that growth, that continuous growth, you know?
Absolutely.
So listen, we'll watch this last video and then I think we'll get your final thoughts, Joe,
Yep.
because I'm sure you've got people to see and talk to. And again, you know, that's sad about your friend, Cece. Really sad. I'll be thinking about them now today.
Mhm.
And I'll definitely say a prayer for them. Do you know what I mean?
Thanks,
Um,
buddy.
I think, you know, the funny thing is, you know, that intention is such an important thing, Joey. Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
You know, like thoughts, you know, just an intentional thought is a powerful thing, can impact on somebody, you know? And yeah, and my thoughts are with you guys too. Right, let's watch this video.
Human beings can do remarkable things. It's because they are remarkable. Two things will change your life: how-tos and why-tos. You can do the most remarkable things, no matter what happens. A man can do the most amazing things with the most unamazing circumstances. A woman can do the most remarkable things with the most disastrous circumstances. They're not dogs, animals, fish, birds, amoebas. Humans are different than any other creation. When a dog starts with weeds, he winds up with weeds. And the reason is because he's a dog. But that's not true with human beings. Human beings can start with weeds and turn them into gardens. That's the advantage, being a human versus being a dog, turning weeds into gardens. Human beings can turn nothing into something, pennies into fortune, disaster into success. Human beings can do unbelievable things, incredible things.
So, Joe, when we were talking earlier on, I was thinking to myself that it doesn't really matter, what you've done in the past. It doesn't really matter, what your upbringing was like. Like look, you were an islander. All you knew how to do was climb coconut trees. Do you know what I mean? Now you're an entrepreneur with a property portfolio. You're a professional network marketer. You're in the army, in the reserves, in the engineer reserves. And you're also a bioengineer, right?
Yep.
So, learning to climb coconut trees, at least it taught you how to climb up, right? How to climb upwards, But you got to remember, Joe, because your story is not that simple. It's not, because I remember you saying to me that you told yourself that you were too small to be in the army. You didn't have those ambitions. You had them, but you had those doubts, self-doubts, self-inflicted, self-sabotaging, self-imposed doubts. You had them. And then, so how the hell do you get to where you are today? What changed? You changed. Like you changed you changed your circumstances. You didn't allow the circumstances to dictate to you how you were going to live. You started to dictate, to your environment. No, I'm doing it this way. You should give yourself a pat on the back, Joe. But remember, a pat on the back's only 6 inches away from a kick up the arse too. And we all sometimes need one of them as well. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
But you should be super proud. So when you think about what we're talking about, you're going to say it out loud. You stopped saying that stuff out loud. You stopped saying it. You started saying something new out loud. And you've continued that. And that's why for me, you're just an amazing example of someone who's not just talking the talk, but you're walking the walk as well. You are actually doing it. You're speaking it out loud and you're doing it. You're saying, I'm doing this. Like you were talking about your property portfolio and how you were going to have so many houses in such a period of time, and you did it in a fraction of the time because you just made a decision. You wrote it down, you had it on a gold card, you were reading it day and night, and then all of a sudden it's done because you mixed it with ingredients. You planted those seeds. You're just a serial successful person now. That's all.
Thanks, Mike. I'm very humble and grateful for your kind word. Like you said, it's not easy. The journey was not easy. I have to go through some adversity in my life, and twice I've been in hospital. It's funny. I remember when I first in hospital, I almost died when I was 9. And when I look back, especially my health, and realize that I've been put in this world for a purpose, and that purpose might be to make a positive impact in other people's life, or help someone look up a little bit better, which is that's how I define inspiration. But look back in my journey, we can't change the past. The past is history. The history, they said, when that time move on, that's history. After our podcast tonight, this 120 episode, it's become a history. So we can't change that. But what we can change is where we're going to go from here. And I think that's one of the things I encourage people that I talk to is whatever your past is your past. You can't change it. It's totally out of your control. But the things like Jim Rohn said is different with a human being. Human being can change their future by changing their mind, changing the way they feel about it, saying out loud, and just do some action or some implement, plan and strategy and action to move toward what you really want in life. And I think that's what happened to me. When I understand I am God's highest form of creation, I can create my own future. I can create my own lifestyle. I can create my own legacy instead of relying on other people to. Because I was the youngest in 11 siblings. You know, I used to have everything that I need when I grew up, and and I get some kick in the ass, if I can say that, from my older sibling for try to be doing the things that I want in life without permission. So when I realized, and I don't have to ask permission for people to do what I want in life. All I have to do is just make a committed decision and just quit listen to other things in life. Like Bob said that in the video that we're going to watch. Quit listen to things that hold you back from what you decide to or really want to do in life, and just go
But
after it.
Joe, I want to get your final thoughts, right? And so obviously, we're episode 120. Say it out loud. It's about goals. I remember you saying before, that you came to realize that you were playing small, and of course there was other catalysts to change for you, and you did have to change your environment. I remember you telling me, most of your spare time was spent down at the church, cutting grass at the church and doing things for other people, which was, good for you, good for them, but it it didn't shape your life in any direction. You were just the person that just came and did those things, and I'm sure people were grateful for it, and the place looked really nice, and you felt like you were, doing a worthy deed, but you realized that you were playing small, and that you were here for greater things, to help people in a different way, to build people in a different way, to grow yourself and build yourself in a different way. And that starts with saying it out loud, So give us your final thoughts, Joe.
Yeah, it's so true, Mike. Saying out loud is I think is a phrase that we can use in our daily life. Decide what you really want in life. Say yes. Accept the reality. This is where I am now. This is where I want to go. And just quit listening to things that stop you from going after what you really want in life. Start putting yourself in an environment that will uplifting you, that will kind of lead you, kind of push you towards where you want to go. If you decide to do something in life and you still hang around with the people that they want to pull you back, absolutely you won't reach your goal. And that's the difference. I made 5, 6, or 7 years ago. I made that committed decision that I'm going to do something about my health. I'm going to do something about my family future, financially, lifestyle, and I just go after it. I know, the small mind or the people that talk behind, they said, he's leaving the church, he's leaving, his faith. But, guess what? Those same people came to me and said, since you left that environment, we see you growing. We see you travel places. We see you achieve great things in life. You challenge yourself. You join the army. You become an entrepreneur. You become an investor. You become a professional networker. Because I make that committed decision. And no matter what the other people say to me, I just keep saying out loud to myself, I am worthy. I'm capable. I'm willing. I'm coachable. I'm hungry. I have born rich. I am abundance. I'm prosperity. I keep saying those things because I know my life is like a garden. I was put in this world with a purpose to make a positive impact in people's life. And because I make the committed decision and I saying out loud, wherever I go, I tell my story. I tell my struggle. I tell what I used to do, climb coconut tree. But now I'm, travel places. I'm, contributing to the Australian Army. I'm contributing to the state of emergency, which is the volunteer rescue, general rescue for, for natural disaster, for community. I make positive impact because I make that community decision. And I saying out loud, like our episode tonight, not only did I say out loud, but I take a massive action. And I put myself in a position that is uncomfortable for me. But I know that position will help me move forward to my goal. I do things in a certain way. I do things in a, I make the old model of my life completely obsolete. Then I create another new model, like my good friend Mike said, and that's what happened to me. I start to realize the change in my life, and people see the change. My family sees the change. The great rewarding that I have when I make that committed decision that I'm going to change something in my life, change something in my future, my lifestyle, my habit, my physical being, my self-development. My family is the first people that benefit from it. They see me doing that, and it's make an impact in them. My kids are going to the gym, doing their own exercise. They're very responsible for their health, and it's given me joy knowing what I started. Your inner circle will see you. At first they will see me. They see me grow most of the time. They see me sleeping in my desk, try to work this thing out. But then they see the result. Now, they're with me now. They're joining my organization. They're cheering me on. They said, Dad, go for it. Go for it. We see you there. And because I make a positive impression in people's life, including my own family, that's the greatest reward that I can give someone, is to help them look up a little bit better, help them change their financial situation, help them to change their physical being, maybe with their health, their fitness, because they saw me get up in the morning. They saw me show up to the gym class. They saw me, cheering other people. They saw me comment positive things in other people, little things like that. When I say yes, I tell the world by saying out loud, and I change my environment, and then I feel good about it. When I feel good about it, I share the feel good by doing the things that keep me feeding my brain, my mind, my soul, my spirit, just like a seed in a garden. If you keep weeding out the weed, and just cultivated the seed that you planted in your mind by saying out loud, talk to people, share your vision with people. Some people, they see it, you're crazy. And this is what happened to me. But you know what? My mentor used to say, Joey, what's going to happen to you? Remember, it was happened to me. People were looked down on me for doing this kind of thing. People were kind of skeptical. People will question, oh, what is he doing? But they see the change. They see the change in my health. They see the change in my career. They see the change in my investing. And they start thinking, oh, I wonder what Joey's really doing. I didn't do really things different, different from what I decided to do. I just stay consistently feeding my mind, guarding my mind from the weed that try to destroy my goal, try to destroy my ambition in life. So today, I want to celebrate with my good friend Mike McLean, our 120 episode. I couldn't believe it myself. We started things by saying, yes, we're going to do this. And then we tell the world, hey, next week, join us. We're going to do a live. And I'm glad that this is in archive. We can go back and watch the first episode because it was not perfect. We were nervous. I was nervous. And then, thank God my good friend Mike McLean was on my side all the time. And he'll keep cheering me on. And I cheer him on. And that's the spirit. That's when you associate yourself with the right people, it helps cultivate your mind, cultivate your spirit, cultivate your action. And when you have people believe in you, trust in you, and you have the same things opposite parallel with them, we achieve great things in life. We not only achieve great things, but we make a positive impact in people's life. Hey, say out loud, say yes, tell the world, and go and figure it out. Because as soon as you decided what you want to do in life, things start to happen. People show up in your life. resource starts to show up in your life, the right books start to show up in your life, the right audio will show up in your life, then the right association, the right opportunity. And when you come across those things, grab it with two hands and be grateful, knowing God is with you. God bless you all, and thank you very much for the opportunity tonight. Mike McKillen, you're the best, mate, and I love you.
Amazing, Joey. You're amazing. I'm so proud of you. I really am. And you know what? You said something really important, and it's about having the right people in your corner. Joey, it is. And you're definitely, the right person to have in my corner. And listen, if you're watching this live or on the replay, and you need a good ring man, you need someone in your corner. You only have to look at Joey's hat. It says difference maker. And that's the difference that he makes for me. Like kicking off my week on a Sunday, preparing me for Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday and all of next week. And hopefully, Joey gets that in return from me. We're in each other's corner. Maybe you need someone in your corner. Someone who's going to maybe challenge you and keep you accountable. And build up your spirits, build up your confidence, and tell you are worthy. You can do it. You can do anything you want. And that's what, Joey and I are about. We're about helping people, feel better about something that makes them feel bad, but ultimately changing their life, to be the life that they want. And Joey's just an amazing example of how to turn things around. But he'd be the first to tell you that he didn't do it by himself. He has to do the work, but he's got people in his corner. He's got people, that he can count on, that are going to be there when he needs them to be there. And it's not to massage his ego, but that, it's to tell him straight, and to be honest, that's the beauty about what we do, Joey, and the industry that we're in, because, when you're working with people, you ask them up front, look, how do you, when things are getting tough, when you're going through a bad patch, how do you want me to deal with you? Do you want me to give you a good kick up the arse, or do you need me to put my arm around you? Like, what is it? How do you want me to help? So, and that's what it's about, Joe. So listen, I can't say it any better than Joey. Go and check him out on Facebook at joeyunger.com. Don't forget, links are in the description for where you can find him if you want to join his business. And of course, if you want to do something and find out about how we're helping people set up in their own business, just reach out to me, and I'll be the first to tell you if it's the right thing for you or not. But listen, Joey, I'm so proud of you. I'm proud you're in my corner, and I'm happy to be in yours. Listen, we're gonna watch that video. This video says it all. Everything is in this video. I say it every week. It's all in this video. If you want a copy of it, reach out, let me know. Happy to send it to you. But again, I'm going to encourage you. Write down your goals, speak them out loud. Stand in front of the mirror and speak out loud your goals. And dream big. Dream beautifully big, because you can have whatever you want. You can do whatever you want. You can really have it. All right. Joey, I'll see you on the other side, buddy.
See you on the other side. Thank you very much.
You see, we are created in a magnificent vibration, in an absolutely magnificent vibration. Born risk takers. Free. That conditioning takes place after birth. You can change it. It takes guts. It takes goals. How do you know something? You're sitting there watching this and you're thinking, my God, I'm going to change something. I always say, keep reminding yourself that you have tremendous reservoirs of potential within you, and therefore you are quite capable of doing anything you set your mind to. You really can. I don't care what the cynics tell you. Quit listening to some of your peers. Now, all you must do is figure out how you can do it, not whether you can or not. When are you going to do it? When are you going to do it? You've got to create a sense of urgency. I'm going to do it right now.
If you can see it, you can do it. But the beautiful truth is you can do anything. We got to know there is a place. There is a specific frequency. And if you get on that frequency, you're going to attract what you need to you. This is what it's all about. Why have you been endowed with such awesome powers? If you'll make a committed decision, this I'm going to do. And you don't have to know how. You do not have to know how. The second you make the committed decision, you flip your brain onto the frequency that you have to be on to attract what you have to attract to manifest the thing that you want. If you can see it, you can do it. It's got to be something you want. Wants come from inside. Act like you're already there. Walk, talk, speak, live like you're already there. Don't set a small goal. Don't set something that doesn't really wind your stem. Set it so big it jazzes you. It really gets you going. When something of a very high nature resonates with the very high side of you, you'll know it. You'll know it. You will feel it. Feeling is conscious awareness of vibration. The only prerequisite, do you want it? Not do you need it, not could you do it. The only prerequisite is, do you want it? Take the lid off your marvelous mind and dream. For goodness sake, give yourself the right to do that. Get your analytical mind out of the way. Put it in your pocket for a while. All you're doing is exploring, daydreaming. What did Lawrence say? All men dream, but not equally. Those who dream by night in the dusty recesses of their mind waken the day to find that it was vanity. But the dreamers of the day are dangerous men, for they may act their dream with open eyes to make it possible. This I did.